Prohibition. As Prohibition began in the 1920s, the U.S. was so convinced that alcohol was the cause of all the crime that was going on. Some towns actually sold their jails. During Prohibition, temperance activists hired a scholar to rewrite the Bible, removing all references to alcohol beverages. During Prohibition, things went downhill. People that sold alcohol could no longer legally sell alcohol, so they had to roam through the streets, they had to roam through the woods, they had to roam anywhere they could to find places to live. And not everybody had to do this, but people that based their livings off of it had to do so.
What you doing? Huh?
Prohibition had a lot of syrups, created many
fights.
Fights with homeless people,
No.
fights with normal citizens just walking the streets.
Your bench.
Prohibition caused so many problems that it would have helped the U.S. to just keep alcohol legal.
Oh yeah? I claim this is my territory then, because I'm here every single day, all day, trying to make a living and then kill it.
Prohibitionists often advocated strong measures against those who did not comply with prohibition. One suggested that the government distribute poisoned alcohol beverages through bootleggers, which are sellers of illegal alcohol, and acknowledged that several 100,000 Americans would die as a result, but thought the cost well worth the enforcement of prohibition. Others suggested that those who drank should be executed, whipped, sterilized, placed in bottle-shaped cages in public squares, tortured, forbidden to marry, etc. During the Prohibition, bootleggers and people who had alcohol were getting so paranoid that they would dump their alcohol into rivers and lakes and ponds. But the bootleggers did still sell their alcohol. Very few, but a certain amount would sell their alcohol, and they would also have their sit-ins, their bars, their hangout spots, as we would call them today, where a couple people, 2 to even a couple dozen people, would sit around a table, a fire, in a little basement and drink alcohol. As we can compare it to marijuana, marijuana is illegal, but they do have dispensaries in certain locations that you can go in and buy marijuana as you can buy it at a state level. You can't buy it at a federal level. It's still illegal. Sort of like alcohol prohibition, but not completely entirely. Now, time for the bloopers.
We fishing out here.
This town is so dead tonight. Light the fires and hopes to spark the minds of all the modern scholars.